So is it possible to fit a double din stereo in a BMW X3 E83? Anybody who's got these cars will know that you've got your standard BMW business CD radio, whatever they're called. But I want to try and see if it's possible to fit a double din head unit inside this dash. I've gone ahead and bought, rather than destroy my own dashboard, which I don't want to do, to be honest, the surrounding parts. These are quite cheap actually. I got these quite cheap. I think I paid £20 for the bottom bit with the computer and the little display, and this was about another £20 for the top piece with the buttons as well, which wasn't bad. There's a little bracket missing which does the vent thing, but that's not a problem really. I can always take the bit off mine. So this is the double din unit. Now I can see there's been a problem. What I'm going to attempt to do, this is just pure experiment. I'm not guaranteed it's going to work. It may not work, but so what I'm thinking of doing, sitting there, that's literally going to have to sit in there. But what I've noticed on the top side of it, you're going to have to cut. You're going to have to cut under the button of the plastic for the door central locking system, and you're going to have to cut into the vents. So you're going to have to slice this section out completely, I think, here, and you may have to take this bottom flap off the... You'll have to take one of the bottom vanes off the ventilation adjuster, which isn't really a problem, I don't think. I mean, really, you don't really want to start hacking away at the bottom of the vent. I mean, this is purely experimental. I don't care if I destroy this, to be honest. I'm not that bothered. I mean, it's cost me £40 in parts, but it's worth it just as an experiment. And give you the option then to fit a double din stereo in. My only other option is to get Pioneer. Pioneer do a flip out head unit, but ultimately it's a 7-inch one. If it comes out and flips up, it's going to cover all this anyway, so what's the point? And also now with stereos, everything's built into cars now, and it doesn't seem like there's a great... Everything looks the same, what you can buy off the shelf now. All the Pioneers and everything, they all look very similar now. And the thing that does put me off with the single din ones is they've actually got a small display, which the text will end up being quite small. So I don't know. I also want to try this and see what happens. What I'm going to do, I'm going to measure this. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to have to slice this. Obviously keep the supports where it clips in to the fixes into the car. So I'm going to go ahead and slice this. I'm going to mark it and slice that, I think, first to suit the double din. Get that as central as possible. Only problem is you're going to be left with gaps on the side, obviously. I bought this fascia. This is a single din converter, really badly made actually. It goes in there like that. Just to put a single din in. The only thing I didn't like about this, but I suppose not too bad, is the gaps on the sides. I don't know if you can see them. They're not that great. I don't know. Maybe if you get a better quality one. Might be able to use this to my advantage though. Maybe if that is din size, which I expect it is, I could probably. But then ultimately I want the back box to sit flush on the panel. This protrudes out, this adapter plate, which I don't really want. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, I will just fit a single din unit in. I mean, you could probably 3D print some parts there, that will, if you're good at it, if you do CAD and everything. So I think what I'm going to do, I think what I might do actually is get this adapter plate. Slice it first, because that will give me pretty much more or less dead central then off the centre. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this first, then that will give me my two lines to go straight up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Step one's done. I've slotted the top side of the display of the thing. Sorry BMW controls, there's a bit of mutilation going on, but all done as an experiment. Right, what I need to do now then is see how that, you know what guys, it don't look good. It looks like it may cross the button, that stop button, the central locking button. I think what I'm going to do first, take the box out, sit it back in there. I'm going to mark the two holes there. I'm going to slice the T section out, I think, just under the button. Take it from there, just there. Might go across the button. I haven't delved too much inside the stereo itself, but I literally just pulled the vents out in my car, and there's probably a 3 to 4 inch depth. Probably cut some of the plastics away behind the dash to get that stereo to fit, but realistically you're not going to get a double din depth in there But what you can get nowadays, I mean, who still uses CDs and DVDs? Everything's on file now with USB and Bluetooth, isn't it? So you can get sort of half-depth mechanical-less, they're called mechless, aren't they? Mechanical-less drives. I think they're just literally half the depth of the standard CD player. I'm going to see first if we can get this in, and then we can take it from there. Let me show you the pieces that I've chopped about so you can see the extent of the chopping you need to do. Let me start with this piece. So with the bottom display, I pretty much just use my little die grinder, and I've gone back as far as I dare possible with that, because obviously you've got the controls for the heat. So I don't know if you can see, but there was a curve there before. I've taken it pretty much flat now. That's as flat as that will go there now with the display. I do not know with double DINs how much overhang you get out of the case. I don't know, but that actually fits quite nice in there now. As far as the bottom piece is concerned, I'm actually quite happy with the fit on that. That actually goes in quite well. I mean, that's not going to go any... you won't get any lower than that, because you're not going to start butchering you're going to lose your heater controls, obviously. So that's the bottom piece. That I'm quite satisfied with. The top bit's a different story. Got to do quite a large amount of butchery on this, I'm afraid. I don't know quite how much the air vents mean to you, but they will still function. For a start, where you... Let me turn it round. Because this is on the angle, I may have gone too far with that, but... you've got to cut quite a substantial amount of plastic out on there. I've pretty much cut it as much as I dare possible. Where these metal lugs are, where my thumb is, I think that's where it clicks into the dash. Obviously you don't want to start going past them, so I've gone as far as I can up to them. If you look there, you have lost the vertical veins, obviously, because the bottom bit's been chopped off. You're left with probably one vein in there, I think. So yeah, I mean, the flaps will still work, so you'll be able to open and shut it. And I think as far as these are concerned as well, I think the box actually sits flat on there, on that bottom lip. So I don't think these will either be adjustable. Pretty much it will just be all or nothing with the fresh air vents. Just going to be a full bore coming through, it looks like there. I mean, I don't know how much that will bother you. Depends how desperate you want to get a double DIN stereo into your car. So that's it clicked back together again. Quite tight to the central locking button. The gap opens up here when you click it in. You may get an extra couple of millimeters there. You may be alright with that actually. And also, the worst comes to the worst, you could just die grind or carve literally the bottom part of the switch. So that's my conclusion. Yes, I think you can get a double DIN stereo in the faceplate, depending how desperate you want to get one in your car. The next step, if there may be a part 2, there may not, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it, because I don't want to disable my car before I go on holiday. I want to keep the sound system in there. I'd like to plug this in first. It's a second-hand unit. I'd like to make sure this is working, the controls for the heater, air conditioning and everything. And like I said before, you won't get a full-depth double DIN stereo in there, because literally just here you've got the metal support from behind the dash. I think even with what you take out here, there will be some plastics to cut out in the middle here. I mean, if you do manage to cut the plastics out to get the box in, you're not going to get a full depth stereo in there, which isn't a problem in this day and age, because nobody really uses DVD, do they, in CDs, and unless you really want that. But I will look on the net. I'll be quite interested if I can get a very cheap double DIN, half DIN, even if it's a Chinese one, just to literally sit in there. I don't want to go and spend loads of money on a double DIN stereo, then find it doesn't fit. I'd say probably yes at this stage. Without, obviously, if we've got this section done, have to take out this out of your car, manipulate behind the dash to see what's going on. So the only other thing I'm not 200% sure about is the angle. Obviously, until you clip it all together, I suppose I could try and dry fit it. If there's a part 2, maybe I'll dry fit it just to see if it goes in the car. If this fits in nice, then, and I've got a little bit of gap there, then I may go ahead. Like I said, you won't get the use of the... I don't think you'll get use of these. You may do, actually. I mean, if you're prepared to just trim these, otherwise you end up losing the bottom fin. I'm quite curious to see how much overlap you get on a double DIN stereo. I mean, if I could get it in. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, at this stage. Not too bad, actually. I'm quite happy with that. I didn't think it was going to work 100%. I thought we'd have to maybe... So stay tuned. There may be a part 2 coming up shortly. Thanks for watching.